Shalom, shalom, and I'm recording this message directly in response to a letter that was sent to the Congress and Senate voicing an opinion of 340 liberal rabbis whose opinion is nothing in my voice. Unfortunately, they have taken the initiative for fear. As the letter indicates, fear is what the letter is all about to the Congress men and women that is about to take a vote regarding the Iran deal. It is true that the majority of the Jewish community at large in America and the rabbis in America, at least from the more modern Orthodox to the Orthodox community, are in opposition to this agreement against Iran. The Iran deal is a deal that puts in jeopardy not only the lives of Israelis in Israel, but of Americans here in the United States, and Jews, of course, here as well. We believe strongly that we cannot trust whatsoever any deals signed by the Muslim clerics of Iran, being that even in the Sharia law they are permitted to lie, to deceive, and even frown on any such agreements only to achieve the destruction of their enemies. Those of you who hear my words will understand that for many years Iran has declared the United States the great Satan and the Zionist state to be destroyed. This rhetoric is met with words and actions and intention. The deal in which was worked out is only an attempt to try to pacify the current Iranian administration and the current administration of the United States. There are many people in the United States that oppose the Iranian deal. And to say and to use the voice of 340 rabbis with their signatures to say that they represent the voice of Jewry is completely incorrect. And I want to make it for the record, at least this one voice, and I'm sure there are many other rabbis who feel the same thing, but they are concerned because the wave and the environment or the entire context of America has changed radically. Where there used to be freedom of expression, even today rabbis are concerned what to say in public podiums or mediums like this one, afraid of being targeted by their members who tend to be liberal in many cases to remove support. But the reality is one: we must speak up for the truth. We must speak up for the Jewish people, and not like in years gone before where we were led into the chambers of the gas chambers. No, my friends, our eyes are fully open this time. We are seeing what is happening. Even a great leader of our time had warned to be careful of the lies of the great United Nations, and told Bibi Netanyahu exactly that. And he is acting upon what is happening out of Yirat Shamayim. This time, if we allow ourselves to follow the voices of the minority, to do what is an ultimate evil, which is really an escapism, it is to run away from the responsibility that every single Jew have one for another, which is to save and protect our lives and the lives of others, then we have really fallen from our task that was entrusted to us to protect life, to save life, to save even this world. I am asking every single rabbi leader in the Jewish community to write a letter directly to your congressman. I have made statements via the different social media very clearly, in particular to one leader in the political realm down here in Florida. one which has never responded to my concern regarding the Jews in Israel, the Jews here, and that was the adamant support of Islamist radicals, even in our country. My friends, we are crossing a line. If this deal goes through, the President of these United States already have threatened to veto, thus demonstrating a personal interest to assure that the Islamic interest takes place beyond the interest of Americans, beyond the interest of Jews who reside here, beyond the interest of the allies of America. Interesting enough, even the Canadian leadership completely opposes this deal. And even those who signed, they signed on a pretentiousness, rushed it through. And this is why I specifically ask our local leaders, the Congress and senators of our district, Deborah Wasserman Schultz, and I'm saying her name very publicly, it's time to either stand up for the Jews or be counted among those 340 who have just buckled to the fear factor of being completely demolished away by the fear of this government. Yes, fear. Fear is what's driving those signatures to go to Congress, not self-preservation, not the love of this land, not the love of Israel, not the love of the Jewish people. Fear. And fear is the controlling factor of that letter. Read it. Those 340 rabbis should be, as far as I'm concerned, ashamed to buckle down and to say this is a good deal. It's not a good deal. It has a lot of flaws. And it's time for the Jewish leadership, for the religious leadership in this country to rise and to stand up and say, we are not going to continue these liberal policies that's coming out of this White House. This is not an issue of politics. This has now crossed the boundary of religious freedoms. Our freedoms are being put into danger. Our lives are being placed at the stake. All Iran needs, and we have many enemies in this country, is just one nuclear bomb to hit New York, and millions and millions of Jews will be decimated, destroyed, wiped out. And what will those 340 rabbis say after fact, in the aftermath of a worse 9/11 that we will ever see? Just to think of that, just to even consider that, even to imagine that, is completely unacceptable. Those 340 rabbis, leaders, conservative, reform mainly, should consider the consequences of their letters in buckling down to such fear factors. Our concern is much greater. We are not to go with the majority to do evil, even if it's our own White House that he's buckled into the pressures of Iran, fully knowing that this government of Iran will not abide by any agreement whatsoever. No matter if they're the moderates or the more liberal kind, they clearly have the initiative to destroy the United States, to destroy everything in their way. And we see that by their support of the different terrorist organizations. Are we mad? Have we lost our head? Have we lost our mind? I think we have. When you see your own Jewish representative writing and buckling down to the large majority of Jews in this country who opposes the Iranian agreement, you really have to think about this and ask yourself, are we repeating the same mistake that took place in World War II? Yes, Mr. President, there are other alternatives instead of this stinky, terrible deal that you worked out with your Islamist friends. Yes, Mr. President, there is a better option than this. Yes, Mr. President, you have betrayed a good ally and friend. You have backstabbed the one friend that's in that area of the world, of America. And as consequences of that, the consequences should be that you should fear. That you should fear. You should fear he who sits on high and laughs. What am I referring to? Read in Psalms 2. You're uniting the nations against the ultimate enemy of yours, which is Israel. And it's your enemy, because the majority in this country, it's not their enemy. You have so crafted a plan to bring the world into World War III. And you've done this because you are an organizer. This is what you know how to do, and you have crafted it well. Well, this man here is against that plan. And I'm sure many Americans will arise from their podiums in their churches and from their synagogues and from their communities. Even the layperson will arise and say, this is wrong. This must be stopped. And will send an email, a letter, telling their congressperson to vote against this agreement. We will soon find out if we fall into the hands of the enemies of the United States and Israel, or we will have defeated our enemies by demanding our political leadership to respond to this irony of stupidity that has been called the Iranian deal. This is my opinion, based on my beliefs and faith. Please do not let this pass, because all it takes, we've seen on 9/11, we've seen the Boston bombers, and all the excuses have been, those were just crimes. No, there were terrorists, implants here in our country. Time to wake up. Time to wake up to reality. This is Moshe Otero. Shalom.